Bull of MLM, Network Marketing Warfare. I'm your host, Dominic Izzo, and I always love watching my guests' face when they're like, what the hell? That's my intro music. I love it. If you don't know anything about me, I'm Dominic Izzo. I am the Bull of MLM. I'm a very passionate professional network marketer. I've been involved in the industry for 12 years now. Or is it 13 years? 12 years, somewhere around there. And I started doing podcasts in both critiquing the MLM community and also being supportive of it. And I wanted to start interviewing people that I think have tremendous value in learning from me. The way that I look at this is anytime I do any content, it's to sharpen my skills. And if you learn something in the process, then we have a good time doing it. This is going to be a new series. If you followed any of my content before on social media, the podcast, anything else, you know that I've gone after some anti-MLM people. I've debated a few of them. I've had my fun with them. It's a ton of fun, but I want to put in the serious work. So the other day I'm sitting smoking a cigar and I'm like, I got to up my game. So I typed in a Google search of the top network marketer professionals, earners in the world. And I got this list of 100 and I started going down and sent out a ton of requests. And some people replied. Some people were kind of like, meh. And some people were like, absolutely, let's do this. This is Robert Hollis, my first guest. You were the first one that matched the energy with absolutely, let's do this. What do you need? And I can't thank you enough for that. So I want to have a really awesome conversation today with you, and I'll go from there. I have to say that I found out originally you were listed in the top 20. You're one of the top 10 network marketing professionals in the world. So when somebody like you takes the time to have a conversation with me, it means a lot. So thank you. I really want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much, Dominic. It didn't take me long to watch a lot of your content and understand that the one thing you care for is people. You wouldn't be as bold as you are because there's a lot of naysayers out there. There's a lot of people that are know-it-alls, right fighters, people that know everything, but their lifestyle and then people that they've impacted is zero. And so I watched a couple of your videos and I just went, yeah, if this will help serve the world and get them to think in a different way where they can live heaven on earth, why not do it?
Well, let's have a conversation. I always ask my guests. I don't think it's really does anybody justice when I go, hey, this is Robert Hollis. He is X, Y, and Z, and I give the resume. That doesn't move anybody. You tell us, who is Robert Hollis? I want to hear who is the man first, because most people when they dive into MLM, they don't realize they're really actually being supportive of the community that's involved with it, and that's comprised of people. So who is Robert Hollis?
Well, Robert Hollis, number one, is a warrior for God. And like you said on one of your videos, I'd be careful of what your definition of that is. But the things that I've learned from others, and I just love sharing that. So the only way to greatness is the service of many. So I every day I'm working harder on being a better husband, a better father, a better grandfather. And I just, Jim Rohn is one of my favorite all-time people that I got to mentor under. And he said, Dominic, you died twice in your life. And one is you stop breathing, and that's your, death here. But the next time you die is when no one no longer says your name.
Oh, geez, yeah. Yeah, legacy is important.
And I just went, listen, I every day I work to strive to do a percentage of what Jim Rohn did for me.
I want to ask questions because
anything.
The bullshit meter goes off every now and then. And my initial stage with network marketing when I got involved with this, it's 2011 was you're going to make six figures in your first 6 months and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then there was all that stuff. So my skin always crawled when I heard a lot of people talking about that immediate wealth. And then now as a Christian, I grew up Catholic. Catholic was guilty for everything. There was you're not supposed to have money. How dare you ever want to have money?
The meek will inherit the earth, Dominic.
God. Well, then I got involved with network marketing, and there was a lot of Christians who they spoke about the prosperity gospel and but they weren't doing anything. The bullshit meter is not going off with you. So, I mean, I'm
Oh,
listening.
thank you.
Well, and one of the things too is it's not my business to say what your net worth is. And it's a very easy
Right.
Google search. It's considerable what your net worth is. And when I looked at your content, looked at your stuff, you just seem real and down to earth.
Thank you.
Why? I need to hear about your beginnings before network marketing. And did money change you, or was this always? Did you have a good relationship with money? What was
No.
why? What is this with you? It doesn't seem like you're full of shit.
Well, I'm not full of shit. I really truly believe there's a checkered past with you being a police officer. I was the opposite. I was a felon.
Oh, jeez.
And let me share with you what was crazy. Very young age, I got taken away from my parents because of all kinds of abuse. And my brothers were separated, and so I grew up in foster homes and orphanages. And you know, you just end up becoming more who you hang around. When I first heard that statement, I went, "Wow, isn't that the truth?" And hung around with the wrong crowd. And I got moved to a new city and a new school. So what I did, Dominic, is I wanted to be the life of the party. So I broke into a warehouse and stole a semi truck full of beer, and took it to a place out in the country where I knew there was a Quonset, and threw a giant party in my senior year in high school. And I didn't know that what the initials ATF stood for until they showed up at my doorstep. So a lot of people on here might say, you know, it's okay. Ignorance is bliss. You know, ignorance is not a bad word. You just don't know that you don't know. But, you know, they really frowned that I was moving alcohol without their permission. Uh, and so I got to a little stint, which I believe is my dearest dear story. It's like all of a sudden I'm taken out of high school, and I get six Class C felonies, and I end up in Bismarck, North Dakota, in prison. And I'm like going, how did I get here? And it was really amazing because of there you also can learn to have good time or bad time. And I wasn't doing well. I wasn't doing well. And all of a sudden this guy was mopping, and he took a little one of those Gideon's read New Testament, and he threw it into my cell saying, "I can't talk to you." And that's when I found out about a bunch of promises, and now I have a father again. And that was very a big change for me. It was a significant emotional event. I just said, "Listen, if I can be as smart on the dark side, I can, you know, do it on the light side." And that's when everything, Dominic, for me turned around. I went to college, became an automotive engineer, and then from there got hired by Roger Penske. And my life was on a rocket ship. I mean, it was just being blessed like I couldn't believe it. And wrong place, time. A van slipped off a hoist, Toyota Research and Development, and I tried to stop it. So not that smart. And then when it hyperextended my knee, I go to the emergency, and the doctor's going, "Oh, you're a mechanic?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Not anymore. Not as messed up as your knee is." And in an instant, I lost my identity. I was like, if someone walked up to me like we do, Dominic, in crowds, it's like, "Hey, what do you do?" I'm a police officer. I'm a fireman. And it's like, I was a mechanic, and now I'm not. And so all that ego edging got out, and all that stuff just started going down, and no electricity, and repo man, hide my car from the repo man, and getting evicted. And it just kept getting worse and worse. And so I just basically yelled out for help, Dominic. I was just going, "Listen, if I need to be someplace else, I'm open." And I had a guy that I only met a couple of times reach out to me and said, "Hey, I met this guy. He had a check for $62,000 that he had in an envelope, and it was attached to the stub. And he's looking for people that he can show how to do this." And I was like, I'll come pick you up. I want to meet this guy." And it was my surrendering and asking for help. And now I'm in front of an individual that was taught by the Yodas and the big Yodas from past. And I thank God every day, all day, that I got introduced to a couple of people that really, really understood the people business.
I want to ask,
And what I, yeah,
no, what year was this that you first got into it?
1985.
So 85, you're going into a business that I don't, it's so easy and it's so needed today, right? Network marketing space today
Yes.
is it blows me away how people are. I had a conversation with a fiduciary from India 7-8 years ago who said that if Americans do not figure out a way how to change, they're going to wind up being in a lot of trouble. And I'm like, wait a second, you know, I'm a cop, I do manual labor here, I do this, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. And I didn't see the writing on the wall that, yeah, you need to learn how to make your money virtually. And, you know, again, money is just energy going from one place to the other. But it's so easy today to do this business, but it's more vilified than ever. But you started when it was the hardest. I mean, that's bad. Yeah. I started in 2011 before we were allowed to use the internet, but the internet was still there. But anything else, you started the hard talk about those days. That's the nose of the grindstone days.
Yeah. Well, back then too, you know, no cell phones, no internet. The thing that was funny is we had this new invention, Dominic. It was called the VHS tape.
Mm-hmm. Beta lost.
Yeah, and all I was told to do is get excited and imagine my future. You know, he kept asking me, "What would you do with this check if I gave you this check?" And that's one of the biggest things that's missing today, in my opinion, Dominic. What makes me unique and special is I first give a shit about people. They're not tools to me, and all I need to do is get them to imagine again. And when I get them to start imagining, you know, when I was young, what do you want to be? I want to be a cop. I want to be a fireman. I want to be an astronaut. And in today's world, because everyone's allowed to have an opinion, and you know, the goal of people today is to find a group and then hate the rest of the world. It's the most bizarre time I've ever seen. But like you said, the economic times and the technology that we have today, there's never been a better time in the world to do this business. Never, ever, ever, ever. I built a group of over 30,000 people, never leaving my home and just doing exactly what we're doing now. And, you know, point, guide, and direct. And when you get together the right videos, I always say this right now, you know, we're podcasting, but you look at every podcaster on the planet, every influencer, regardless of what platform they're on, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. If you see the ones that are making a full-time income versus the ones that are not, there's only one difference. One difference. The amount of the way they make people feel. And I know some of us going, why are people following Taylor Swift? Why do people follow Justin Bieber? Why do people follow Gaga, you know, Lady Gaga? Well, the same reason they follow the Kardashians and Mr. Beast and Dominic. When you're on content that makes you feel good, it's not about education anymore. And then while we're entertaining people like we're doing now, what's wrong with sliding your affiliate link or your enroller link? It's like everything that I watch right now. It's like, hey, by the way, let me take a pause. We want to support Dominic's channel. And how he does that is you'll see a link somewhere around this site. Simply click on it. Reach out to us for more information, because life is expensive. And we want to show you how to monetize your life. So let's get back to the podcast. And Dominic, here you are.
When we start doing that, there's 3 levels of it, and everything we want to do ends up in education, but we have to engage people, and we engage people by entertaining them. Let's pretend that I'm anti-MLM for a second, and I'm going to come at you. Well, all of a sudden, Robert, that's all great, but you know, the study by this whatever organization says that 90-something% of people in MLM fail and all blah blah. Okay, where do we have a responsibility? And I'll look at you. You're at the top of a massive organization. You don't have time to mentor all these people. But when you have, okay, well, this is awesome. How do people, there's two sides of it. How do you manage 30,000 plus? And on the flip side of the coin, where is the personal responsibility of the person who comes in this business to do the work? What is their expectation? So first side of the one coin is, how do you do it? And then what do you expect from people when they come in to avoid being that 90-something% failure rate statistic?
Yeah, well, that is an awesome question. When you said you're going to give me some great ones, I can't wait to share this podcast with everyone. So here's the first mindset that you got to understand. If you look at the IRS right now, IRS, because of the internet, now gives us up to date what we call statistics. So if you look at the United States and then you look at, with the elderly versus the young, and then the people that are actually paying taxes and working above the table instead of the under table, it's like, do you realize that there's only 10% of the people in the United States that make over $100,000? So when we seen this thing, and Dominic, you and I have been around for a while, but when we seen the 99.1% campaign, remember that? Mm-hmm. It was just all over. Everyone was complaining the 99% against the 1%. Well, 5%, when Obama was in office, he said, let's go after the 5%. 5% are people that make $200,000 plus. And then, of course, 1% make over $1 million. But what people don't understand is if you now take the world, you know what I mean? Now it's down to 5% of the people in the world make over 100 grand. So maybe it's not network marketing. Maybe it's just the way people are. The way people are. So, I know what to do, Dominic, to lose weight. I got to drink plenty of water, 8 glasses a day. I got to eat sensibly. And what I need to do is I need to get off my ass. See, like Jim Rohn said, these things are easy, but they're easier not to do. So the other thing is, if we're going to bring out facts, now we got AI, let's check some facts. Well, how many people that start playing football in middle school or elementary school actually make a full-time income in football?
Yep.
It's not only less than 1%, but they have a 3-year career.
Robert, if you're going to start spitting facts, please don't do that. Don't speak truth on this podcast, because you know what? You could wait a second. Are you going to tell me next about the statistics for brick and mortar and how, like, within first 5 years? Well, here's the anti-MLM comeback for all that.
Please.
But those aren't businesses that are involved with recruiting. And then when I did a podcast debate, and I said, well, last time I checked, when I was in the bar industry before becoming a cop, if it wasn't for our regulars who came in, we really wouldn't be making the money that we made. So it was our job to, air quotes, recruit by always giving exemplary service, knowing their cocktail before they walked in the door, telling them, hey, bring in your friends. We're actively recruiting. So yeah, please, before you go on with your factual nonsense, just know that the garbage is always going to be, well, you're not, your business is to recruit. Whatever. Right. Please continue. Floor is yours, though.
Well,
you're right.
Sure. And when someone says your job is to recruit, and I go like the Army, like colleges and universities, like everything. It's like the reason that there's Indeed and Career and some of these ones that they're still available is for anything to grow. You'll love this, Dominic. When you look at anything that gives you freedom and lifestyle before money, right? Think about this. You start a company, you need employees. That's recruitment. Mm-hmm. I need a manager. I need some cooks. I need some people to run the drive-through, the cash register. I need some janitors. That's what you do. You recruit employees. So why is it that the largest companies on the planet that sometimes these haters hate, just like they hate our industry, is like, why does McDonald's have 1 million people employed? I don't know. You ask 1% of them. They went there, started as a teenager, worked their way to management. Then McDonald's gave them benefits, paid for their college, and now they own franchises. Mm-hmm. See, there's stories where people started out as janitors that now own multi-franchises of McDonald's. And people would say, wow, great rags to riches story. But what about the rest of the people that didn't pay attention and go the extra mile and work hard to get paid more. What about those people?
Why are we so fascinated with the failure rate of things? When I did debates, a parallel industry to ours is real estate. I got my real estate license in 2020 just to see if I could. Got it, paid $2,500 for the fees and all that stuff. Lasted maybe 11 months, and I went, this is not for me. So I quit. I quit the industry. I didn't make a dollar. I had to. It cost me $2,500. 100% quitter because it was not for me. I didn't feel it. So, by the definition of the anti-MLM community, I paid to enroll. It's 100% commission. Yep. I quit. I failed. So, why isn't real estate a scam?
Why isn't everything a scam?
I don't. Apparently today, with everything today, it is. It is when we focus, when we have an obsession. Everyone has an obsession, or the majority, I'll say.
Yeah.
They have a majority with the failure rate of all these businesses.
Everything. The failure of everything is because people have lost their imagination.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we dream when we're little kids. No one cares that when you're a little kid that you run around with an imaginary friend. And hey, mom, put my cape on so I can, go from furniture to furniture to furniture, not in the house. And it's like, as we get older, we get in high school, and now it's time to stop dreaming and get out of here. It's now time to start studying to be a very good employee. Mm-hmm. We're going to, public transportation back and forth if you're not using your parents' school. We get a couple of recesses. Those are called breaks. And then instead of grades, we now get a paycheck. And guess what? You need a lunch, so we'll throw that in there. And so a majority of the world that is gainfully employed just doesn't realize that they're in the same cog. So, if you look at anything in the world, whether it's a nonprofit or a company going stock, everything works because of the mass of people in it. That's how universities work. That's how the school system works. So if someone turned around and said, why would you want to get in school and get an education when there's only one valedictorian a year? What a stupid comment.
That's one of the best responses.
In the world, everything in the world works that way.
I want to give you credit for that. That's one of the best responses I heard, because when you look at it, one of the main arguments for why not to join network marketing is, well, only the top percent are making a couple $1 million here and there, right? And my view was, what about the family that's bringing in an extra $500 a month? Did they fail?
Huge, Dominic.
Is that failure?
Huge. So
I want to go back to your role. Yeah, you've got an organization of 30,000 and you're at the top. And here's what I know. This is what I know. No, the 30,000 doesn't do all the work. And if people really looked at it, it's the people at the top who are doing all the work. I really wish people understood in the network marketing space that those who are at the top of their air quotes pyramid, who make the money, they're the ones who are absolutely working harder than everyone else. Talk about your leadership role, your responsibility, because what I do want to talk about that a lot of people won't do is you also get the blame. I don't know if you've ever heard it or if you got it publicly, but typically the men and women who are in your position also are Robert is the reason I failed because he wouldn't give me this attention or this time. I've heard so many others with the top who are like, wait a second, I poured myself into you and then you quit and blame it on me. I want to talk about the responsibility of being at the top of that air quotes pyramid, because no one talks about how hard it is. Talk about that labor.
Yeah, well, my responsibility is to do exactly what my mentor did. And I think that your listeners and maybe even you will hear some uniqueness and difference from me than what I've seen in the rest of the world of even network marketing. When people tell me negative things about network marketing, I usually say everything that you heard is true. And they go, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, listen, if you got a job, the very first thing that they're going to do is teach you how to do that job. All right. And what I do is, instead of train people, I show people. I show them exactly how to connect with another human being, because You want to connect with people before you even get close to asking them to look at some information. Because if you don't care, people don't care what you know. They care if you like them or not. So they can tell immediately. And what I do is I don't mind sharing my secrets to the world because we got to change that. So Dominic, I would reach out and connect with you cold like I did 37 years ago. And the first thing I'm going to do is give you a gift. I'm just going to say, hey, Dominic, I love connecting with people. I hope this message finds you and yours blessed. I hope you're having the best year ever. And the way I connect with people is by giving you a gift. And what I do is I send them a link to what my mentor gave me. And that's The Greatest Miracle in the World by Og Mandino. And when I give them that book, this book took me from the person that didn't feel enough, didn't feel worthy, dyslexic, special in school, have a criminal record. There was a million reasons why I couldn't do this. I was introverted. A mechanic, they're not real social butterflies. And so my mentor knew I had this excuse mentality, broke-itis, victim, I didn't have a mother and father, just let me tell you my bullshit story that's reality for me right now. And so his deal, I didn't know this at the time, Dominic, but he said, listen, I need you to go to the bookstore. Again, like you said, we live at different times. And I went to the bookstore, grabbed it, and I read it. And it emotionally changed me in a blink of an eye, because I now knew that I needed to proclaim my uniqueness. I was created, and no one else has my DNA. And I'm a miracle. I'm a flat out miracle. And I have an imaginary friend that people have different names for that is connected to me, and they guide me in doing this business. So when you say the responsibility, there's numbers out there where, I love bullshit stuff too. It's like, what's that one phrase that 70% of all made up facts and figures are not true?
Right. Yeah, I know. I've heard that before too. Right.
And so my mentor knew that if he couldn't change the story I was telling myself, because there's this thing out, Tony Robbins and some people are like, 20% mentality, the rest is a game plan, the rest is action. Again, all this stuff. I know one thing for a fact. If you don't find a way to love yourself and believe that you have something of offering to another person for a connection, you're fucked.
People don't get what you're saying, and it took me a long time to understand it, to where I was sitting in a seminar once, and the instructor was trying to answer questions, which has always bothered me, right? I want to know the methods, always. Like if I sat there, I described network marketing as if I was trained the way that many people are trained in network marketing. As a cop, it would have been, here's your badge, here's your gun, go out and figure it out. And that's sadly how network marketing is. So I used to meet these millionaires and go, how did you make your money? Well, I just talked to 3 people a day. Okay. What'd you say? I just talked to 3 people a day. Did you interrupt them at dinner? Did you go to Jewel, the grocery store? And I used to get these panic attacks because I would overthink. All right, well, it's 5 o'clock over on the East Coast, and I can't interrupt them because it's drive time home. But it finally hit me that people don't understand this. This guy was trying to answer the same question another girl had. And I'm like, man, I asked this question years ago. You're never going to get the answers. And he kept going, you just got to believe in yourself. You just got to believe. You got to believe. And then I went, wait a second. Holy shit. When I first learned how to drive, it was hands at 10 and 2, look in your rearview mirror every 7 seconds, 100 feet before you turn, you got to hit the signal.
Right in the brake.
Right. Now, I'm so used to driving because I've done it so many times, overcorrected a steer, slid on ice, panicked in the rain, car accident here or there. But I'm so good at what I do, I believe in my ability to drive. I get in the car, I know I have the ability to drive. Yes. I can navigate a tornado in a pothole field while oncoming traffic is dumping stuff without a problem. And I went, oh my God, there's the answer. When you actually believe in the industry, in your business, and in yourself, all the questions, answers just appear. Well, what time
Yes.
of day should I call this person? Get a feel for it. Reach out. You're going to know what to say. What you talked about is so true. Changing
Yes.
your story and believing it. The problem that that a lot of people in the industry have is they limit it at there, meaning they think all they do
Yes.
is change their story, this and that. Where does the work come in? Because I don't think you're an 8-figure earner just by being an incredibly positive, influential man who's got a great disposition on life. You had to have worked, right? You did work in this?
Yes.
So
yes.
where do people accept that?
The first 2 weeks of this industry, I almost quit. I love telling this story because this was another pinnacle for me. This guy was in water filters. The company was called NSA. It's now called Juice Plus.
Which is my company.
What?
I've been with Juice Plus since 2011, 2012.
Now, just a sidebar, all right? Bill Gould was sponsored by my upline. Bill Gould was sponsored by Jeff Roberti. Jeff Roberti was the man.
And didn't he quit too? The story is that somebody recruited Jeff Roberti and then quit, and then Roberti became who he was, and that person was like, "Oh, I can't believe I did it."
Yeah. Absolutely. And so when I first started this business, I was learning from Jeff Roberti.
Wow.
And not via internet. I was watching him make phone calls.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So what we did, the whole thing back then was, it was all about sorting. Everything's about sorting. So what I believe and still believe to this day is Jeff Roberti is one of the people I look up to this day. And the other guy is a guy named Don Fela. There's people out there, Dominic, when I say this statement, it's mind shattering, that have 1.5 million active people that are on a subscription that pay every month. 1.5 million people. The biggest group I built was 785,000. And so the idea of making it very simple and duplicatable. So when I met people, here's where I get my belief from, reading that book, and then I did the assignment in the book, and I just, every night before I went to bed, I read chapter 9, and all of a sudden, I don't give a rip about people's opinions. If other people did this, I can do this. God's not a discerner of persons. And I don't need to be making the money that Jeff Roberti's making. So instead of the $110 million man, I just ended up being the $60 million man.
I'm going to shake a stick at that. Okay.
And so when you talk about it, we all talk about this one thing. When you believe in yourself and you really imagine yourself, walking the stage, getting to 500 a month in profit, getting to $1,000, doubling your income. And if other people did it, you can do it. There's not a thing that anybody else gets in, going back a little bit. Why would you get into something and ask that question? What's the average person make? Mm-hmm. One of my favorite movies of all time, Dominic, is Defending Your Life with Meryl Streep and Albert Brooks.
Yep.
And when you watch that, there's a line in it where Albert Brooks looks at this guy and says, so I'm coming back and justifying my life for four times on earth. And the guy goes, yeah. And he goes, is that about average? And I remember the guy going, you're really concerned about average, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rip Torn.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there in my mind going, wow. So does the rest of the world look at the rest of the world and go, oh, I get it. Let me see if I can dodge as many things as I can to either getting paid under the table or getting some kind of government assistance. And then what I'm going to do is do just as little as possible to not get fired. And they really think they deserve a harvest from that.
Talk about the duplicatability, because the problem is every person who's in a position where you're at, you're not duplicatable. You can't be. Well, my point is you are you, and you are this over the top, joyful, very positive, addictive energy man. And you know that a lot of people are just negative and they're shit and they're this and that. Are we duplicating the business or are we duplicating the person? Which one is it?
No. Great question. in this industry, there's only three thoughts that go through a person's mind fast and quick. And I've never forgot these. So the first thought is, who are you and why in the hell should I listen to you? Well, I was taught 37 years ago, and I'll tell you something I did yesterday that you'll see I'm still doing the same thing. So me, I would open my mouth up and say, hey, Dominic, do you know anyone that would like to make six figures a year? And you'd go, what is this? I go, why? Are you interested? Well, it depends on what it is. And I go, listen, you're going to hear and learn directly from Dominic. I'm an unemployed auto mechanic on workman comp. You could say, if you're not that, you could say, listen, in this industry of doing affiliate marketing and online monetizing my life, I'm not making the money that I'd even be proud to tell you about. See, no one will humble themselves when we all know that you're supposed to go out 2 by 2 and you're not a prophet in your own hometown. When Peter goes to Petertown, he better be talking about Paul. And so to show you that I'm still doing this today is like, hey, okay, Dominic, I'm going to introduce you to Jeff Roberti. And Jeff Roberti he's documented. He's done this. He's done this. I'd rather you get connected with him through a video or audio than listening to me. The second thing is people want to know immediately, well, what is this? Okay, so Dominic's made a lot of money, 20 years. He's made millions. What does he do? And again, in a theoretical example, if you can get people to imagine and the things that they need to do to make sure that they're not charged on a monthly basis. So my first goal, if you don't listen to me and don't do what I tell you to do, then it's going to cost you, and maybe the products are good enough, you just are a satisfied customer. But if you want to make money, we got to get you in profit. And when you look at your theoretical example of your company, get with someone that's made money and they'll know exactly how many people that you need on subscription to be in profit every month. Well, from there, you go into more profit every month. So the second one is, what do you do? The last thing is, in their mind, they're going, I don't know if I can do this. You know what I mean? What exactly do you do? And here's my training. I can give you my whole training right now. Have you ever in your life clicked on a video and as you're watching it, it moved you on an emotional level? It made you cry, made you laugh, maybe got you upset a little bit, whatever that is. Have you ever watched a video online and immediately went, I need to share this with Dominic. I need to share this with my wife, Terry. I need to share this with my son. So you're trained.
I can't understand why so many people have such a hard time understanding that the business, and that's not my method, because I like hands-on, right? But but what you just said is beyond true. The companies that we work for do all of the work with promotion. Everything.
Oh my God, they create the best materials in the world.
And literally, if you, and it becomes an law of averages, right? You send it to 100 people, 10 get involved. But the hardest part people have is bridging the gap to get people to see, right? And to watch a video and whatnot. I kind of want to go there when you're in a day and age where it's so easy to just read. We have Metcalfe's law, 100 people. Now all of a sudden my network is 101 people, all this. How do we have such an excuse for people who do this industry for 2 months? Well, excuse me. They do it for a total of 3 hours through the course of 2 months, quit and say, this business is a scam, when literally all it is it's a law of averages. Send somebody this video. They will either see value in your product or not. Do not take it personally. Move on to the next person. At the very bare minimum of what MLM is, a person could make a tremendous amount of money if they spent all of their time sending out what the company's already made. I like making it worse for myself. I love the pitch. I love the close. I love the objection handling. I love all that stuff. I love the sales aspect. But what you just described is exactly what this industry is. If it's that simple,
and I tell you, network marketing didn't come up with this, you guys. I don't know if you watch Mad Men, but listen to this. We all hear two stories about the Super Bowl. I can't wait to watch the Super Bowl. The top athletes in the world get to compete against each other, get that prize, that Super Bowl trophy, that ring. Yeah, right? Okay. But then there's the other group of people that watch the Super Bowl and they say, well, the only reason I watch the Super Bowl is for the commercials. What the hell is a commercial?
Advertising.
A commercial is a short thing that they put in front of you, and there's going to be a large group of people watching this video. One group's not paying attention. They missed it. They went to the bathroom. Another group looked at it and went, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I'm not interested. The other people look at it and go, wow, that's really interesting. And as soon as they think about interesting, they thought of something else and they lost it. And the other group of people went, wait, pause. They rewound it and said, what's that again? And they looked it up on their phone and they frickin' ordered something. They got the service. They did whatever. If no one ran commercials, why is it that I've seen some large corporations on their financial statement, Dominic, that they dedicate 30% of their gross income on doing advertising?
Can you imagine? I can't imagine owning a business and spending 30%, not to the other 77% is not yours. You still have to cover your costs, production, all that,
Right.
but 30% goes out into there's no guarantee to try to get 1 to 3% return on that. And people say MLM is a scam. Okay. Please continue.
And so there it is. So it's my job. You asked a while ago, what is Robert Hollis's responsibility? My responsibility is to create the best short videos that they can use. And so here I've been in the company for 6 years. Been very blessed to do so well, have people all over the world. And guess what I did yesterday? I called up the owner of the company and I said, listen, I want to do a Zoom with you. He goes, what do you want me to do? I said, I'm going to introduce you as an incredible human being. Then I would like you to do a presentation for me. And he goes, like I did 6 years ago? I said, yeah. It's just going to be an updated one. And he goes, no, but listen to this. The visionary owner of the company has all these leaders in the group that have such a big ego. I'm the deal. I'm the deal. I've been in this company for 6 years and I've never done a business presentation. Because the first one is, why should I listen to you? I'm going, you shouldn't. You should listen to this guy. He's the visionary owner of the company. So Dominic, I had him do the presentation. Then I said something in a little close. And now I got a dedicated Zoom done by the visionary of the company. And I teach people to point, guide, and direct. I'm not interested in being in the deal. I'm interested in doing something that's duplicatable.
You're leveraging a system, which is the foundation of what we do. And you're the lightning rod. And it goes back to, like I said in the beginning, I have a good bullshit meter. You're not giving it off, right? And normally, one of the things that I wanted to ask, like when I started prep for today a little bit, was you're still involved with the industry. It's been over 30 years, right?
I love it more than I ever have.
Okay, so why, if I ever interviewed him, I would ask Eric Worre, if you believe in this industry so much, why do you teach it and why are you not a part of it? So you still are, you're in this industry. Why haven't you cashed, you've made your money 8 figures. Why haven't you cashed it in and just said, you know what? I'm going to start giving out seminars and this way I don't have to deal with the headache anymore and the recruiting. You're still doing it.
Dominic.
Why?
Okay, Dominic. Now you're getting, honestly, we said we'd be bold, we'd be honest. You're right now talking about my biggest pet peeve in the world.
Go ahead.
Okay. Because in my thoughts, when you're not in the field and you're not working it and building it every day, you don't know what works today. The things I used to do 6 months ago is different than the things I do today. Now, isn't this weird that iPhone came out with a new iPhone. I got it. This microphone, this computer, my new laptop. Every time something upgrades, my TV, my cars, I'm constantly upgrading because I love to have the best stuff out there. And then I run into all these people that are teaching network marketing that haven't built a group in 5-10 years. And no one really knows. I know. I know what their best year was. And I'm going like, so here's what happens in the industry. Just being nice to them. And when you really have faith and you believe that this is working and you're going to find the people, and I even have a way to find the right people, is when you find the right people and it blows up, sometimes you work really, really hard for no pay or little pay, but then it switches, the yin and yang. And when the tipping point happens, then all of a sudden you're getting paid more money and you're not doing a lot of work. You're doing the same work you did before, but it just starts doing this geometric progression. So most of the people that train are people that had that happen. They were ignorance on fire. They wouldn't be in the deal. They were promoting someone that had already done it, and magic happened. And then their ego got in the way. So now I'm not going to put anybody in front of Dominic anymore. Be honest with you, I'm way better than Dominic. So I'm going to do the presentation. You haven't even hit a rank yet. You haven't been, you got no, yeah, I'm going to be a life coach. I'm going to do some blogs. I'm going to, bring in leads. I'm just going to be the celebrity and an influencer. And I'm just like going, man, if you made the money I made, you would have never done that. So what happened is they then built their ego, started being the deal, forgot about the system. And now, unfortunately, Dominic, they got to change companies.
Oh, God, please continue. Please continue. I swear I talk about this nonstop, where it is, I don't understand. It seems to be one of the biggest pet peeves I have is people leave whatever company they're with to go for the new one. And my story is very, very simple. I was with Juice Plus. I started in 2011. For 8 years later, I got a little bit of a hair up my ass because at the time, corporate didn't want social media being used, and I had a very big social media presence. So I backed away from MLM for a while. I went under another company that had just opened up. I learned some of the things I didn't know before. I became very good. The second I realized, why am I afraid of selling? I'm a cop. My job is to sell the idea of putting your hands behind your back and think it's the greatest thing in the world. And I'm phenomenal at that. So the second I went, man, I'm great at sales, I chose to go back to Juice Plus because I went, well, I really believe in this company. Oh yeah. Because it was the writings on the wall. It's 52 years old. It's unbelievably established. I truly believed in the product, all this. And a year after I left the other company, a year and a half, the company closed down, and I started to notice.
Oh, nice.
Well, what I started to notice is this is what people do. And two of the top earners with that company talked about, we came in our first week and we became a black diamond. And I really went off on that. And I said, well, now talk about the fact that you knew the company was going to open a year beforehand. You got all your people ready and dumb. Why do the gurus jump in, recruit everybody with the new opportunity that's coming on, and then leave, go to the next company, Pied Piper all their people, and say, we made it, we did it, no, you ranked. They didn't rank. They're still making nothing listening to your shit. Why? Yeah. You're clearly you have an issue with that too. Talk about that, please.
Oh, yeah. And so now when they go to another company and bring a whole group over that they had with the other company of people that know, like, and trust them and follow them and on their email list, everything. Now when they bring that over, they still didn't learn the fundamentals of the business. Mm-hmm. So now it doesn't click the way it did before when they were not the deal. Now they're the deal. So that's when the next step is, oh my God, it's not building. I can't keep going to company to company to company, getting a deal, a lot of money, and not giving it to anybody that comes in my group. And so as soon as they try to hit their third and fourth month, which that's why companies are not stupid, most money that is paid out to a distributor for making that kind of move is a one payment. And then if you maintain a certain volume for 3 months, then you get some more. So they do this big thing at the first month. Then it stops on the second month and goes down in the third. So now they're not going to get the money. So the only way they can get money is they said, I hit this rank with this company. And now they go to another company and do the deal and do it all over again.
Are you this transparent with your team, with people who come in and they want to? Where does Robert Hollis, does he work for his team? Meaning, most people at the other level, I was blessed, and I talk about her, is what it is. But all of us would. Anybody who ever wanted to get to know Jessie Lee Ward, she would get to know you, give out her number, all this stuff. That woman worked for her team. She did.
I do.
So if you do it, why? Why do you do it? You've had more time in the industry than she does.
I love people. I love people. I still believe to this day, and this is my hallucination. This is what I create my own story in my own head with my own imagination, is I did one of those things when I got down on my knee and I asked for help. And I just very simply said, wow, listen, if you get me out of this, I'll spend the rest of my life getting other people out of this. And God is more than delivered on his end. And so I have this thought that if I let off the gas, then I'm not going to do that last thing that I told you about Jim Rohn. I want to create a legacy for my children and my grandchildren. And I just want to do my best. My middle son, Matthew's 32, and none of my family have ever had a job. They're part of the corporation and the trust. They get paid. I take care of the taxes, and they need to find out what they really love. Well, what they love, because I've been doing that, is they love helping me.
Why is it that it's so hard for people to see that, yes, the business model, we sell, we recruit, that's on paper, right? And right. We have our businesses happen to be with a phenomenal company, phenomenal product or service. But when it really boils down to it, how do people just not understand that this is a business of serving others? You are literally, I don't care if you're teaching somebody sales skills. We know those skills can translate anywhere in life. We show people when they get their first sale or their first recruit, it's a massive win for them. And it's a benchmark. These are people skills that we are facilitating our skill set to help them improve their lives. Are we just not, when you really strip it down to its bare core, in the industry of helping people improve their own lives?
What people do, though, is this whole concept of treating it like a lottery. You throw a bunch of spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks. That was not the way I was brought in the business. And so I was sharing my story where the first 2 weeks, I wanted to quit. I didn't want to do this. And one of the people above me, I was like 7 levels deep on Jeff Roberti. And someone said, if I don't go to the Western Bonaventure and go to this convention, that they wasn't going to work with me anymore. And Dominic, I didn't have the money to do that. Yep. I didn't even have the money for parking. And I went there, and the more, you probably never heard someone say this, the more people walked across the stage and told their story, the more pissed off I got. Because in my mind, I'm going, am I the lone idiot? I must be the lone idiot that these people are walking. And then the one that put the nail in the coffin was a Mid-Eastern guy. And he comes across the stage and says, my name is Muhammad. I've been in company for 6 months. I get new Mercedes, building new home. And I wanted to punch him in the face. I was like, what the hell? And so I respectfully waited for him. His downline was there. His upline was there. They're giving him flowers. And I walked up to him as simple as it could be. And I said, congratulations on your success. Could you please, please, please help me? And he goes, absolutely. And I said, what do you do? He says, I walk up to people and say, hey, you want to make more money? Yes, no.
Very easy question.
And I'm going, please, God, it can't stop this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I said, what if they ask you a question? He says, I look at them and I say, you answer my question first. Do you want to make more money? Yes, no. And I said, okay, I'm going to fall for it. Yes. And he goes, great. You need to meet and you need to talk about your money person. At that time, he said, money man. Mm-hmm. Guess who his money man was?
Who?
Jeff Roberti.
Okay.
So I'm all of a sudden going, wait a minute. This is not the way I do the business. It's numbers, it's sorting. You know, anyone can open up an apple and count the seeds in an apple, but only God knows how many apples is in each seed. You don't know who's going to do this business. Mm-hmm. And so that's when all of a sudden he said, listen, you call Monday, you call Juice Plus, you ask Bill and Jeff to give you a call. And the company will get them to call you. And I go, why would they talk to me? And he said, because you want to talk to them.
Good point.
And I went, damn. And I called up Bill Gould. This guy told me, hey, drive to San Diego. I had to borrow some money for gas. I stayed in my car. And now I got to see how this business really works.
And we're in a day and age now where it's not possible. There are not that many hours in the day for people to sit there all the way down at the 100th level, say, hey, I'm going to get you in touch with Robert Hollis. Even if you're able to do that, which it seems like you are, but now we have technology. And now we have videos, and now we have Zoom conferences, and it's so much easier now than it was years and years and years ago. For the people, Dominic, that are listening to this, that are in your organization, Dominic works for you. And the reason that you said, well, Robert, you have 30,000 people in your group. How can you help them all? Well, we talked at the point about there's only less than 1% of people that will even reach out to me. Right.
So I'm telling them what to do. You know, I'm saying, listen, read this book for me and get back to me. I found out later that was something that Rich Snackenberger taught Earl Schoaf, that taught Jim Rohn, that taught Larry Huff and Larry Thompson, that taught Jeff Roberti and Bill Gould. There was always something that was very simple to do, simpler not to do, but that's how I measure who I'm going to work with, their ability to follow instructions.
How does that... we're running out of time here, so I want to ask a couple more questions because I could talk to you all damn day.
We'll do more. We'll do more.
You know, with the gravity of your persona, what typically happens is, like a giant planet or a sun, you pull people in towards you. And part of the reason the network marketing that does have a problem is there's the business, and it does cross into personal when it comes to community and culture. Yes. How do you personally navigate? I'm gonna be blunt. There's no way that a man like you is worth what you're worth, and you don't have the ability to flip that switch and be jag off when you need to for business sake. You have it. You can't. So when people see this genuine, I don't think you're disingenuous at all. When they see this genuine persona of warmth and energy, and they're like, oh, I want to do the business, I'm going to do everything for Robert's sake, and blah, 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 and then they don't duplicate, and now all of a sudden they blame you because you're not matching that person. How do you navigate that? Because that's where a majority of the anti-MLM community comes from, and where they spew their hatred and lies is they were up at the top, and they all have the same story. I was the top 25% of my company. I made this money. This person was my mentor. Then why did you quit? It was purely for a personal reason. Why did you quit? So how do you navigate that when you clearly pour yourself into your people? They turn around. There's the betrayal, the backstabbing, this and that. After you've spent months, years, how long pouring into them, how do you navigate that problem?
Well, because of the way that I bring people into the business, here's something crazy. I really tell my people all the time is I've helped 67 people earn over $1 million in commissions.
Wow.
And listen to this, Dominic. 9 of them own their own network marketing company. So if you've heard of a small company called ACN. Yeah. I, off a newspaper ad, I told a girl named Lynn Martinez to come down, And when she said she didn't have any money, I said, don't worry about that right now. I'll show you how to make this business work without investing a dime. Introduce me to your best person. And that at that time was Mike Kupas and his twin brother, Tony. And the rest is history. And man, I back there in the day with no internet, I flew to Michigan and I moved into their apartment and did exactly what Bill Gould and Jeff Roberti did with me. And so, like you said, we can do it online. Like, here's the crazy thing of what I do is I actually show people what to do. They log on. I do an Ask Me Anything every Saturday. It's generic. And I do it on YouTube. And I just tell people, listen, ask me any question, and I will show people what I do and how I connect with people online, how I get them to respond. And then after they respond, I ask them to very simply do me a huge favor, watch this short video. And if you know anyone that would need to make extra money, I can make sure you're compensated for that. And so my biggest magic when we do another, and I freed up my time to do this. But here's the thing that people don't do that my mentor did for me is he didn't ask me to do the business. He did it for me. He showed me how to do this business. Here's the quick story. So he tells me we do the same thing. Here's the presentation. You watched it. Would you like most, Dominic, about what you see? All right. I like the money. I like the products. I like the concept of, helping the world, helping the earth. Okay, great. Where do you see yourself getting started? And usually a company will have 2 to 3 packages that they'll recommend to you. And they do that because if you duplicate that, you're going to be in profit right away. You got to get a belief check. And so I looked at him and I said, I don't have any electricity. I'm sleeping in my car. I can't do this. Here's where everyone, Eric, all of them disagree with me. Because my mentor looked at me and said, Robert, if I could show you how to do this business without you investing the dime, would you be interested? I said, hell yeah. And he goes, listen, I want you to think of a name. And Dominic, as we're doing this, you think of this name. And I said, he said, you want, okay, so this person's positive. They're very, very positive. They're very optimistic. They're also great joke tellers and great storytellers. You go into a room, they're already there. There's a bunch of people around them laughing their ass off. They're the people that are having the fun at the party. You're already there. The person shows up. It's like just for a brief second, everyone, like cheers. It's Dominic, and Dominic's here. Okay. They also have the sticker, the person with the most toys wins. Dominic's probably got this on every vehicle. You see what I mean? So it's the guy that has, nice vehicles, and they got a 5th-wheel trailer, and they also got a motor home, and they have a boat, and they have wave runners, and they have quad runners, and they're so servant for people that everyone's using their stuff out at the lake, and then everybody goes, where did Dominic go? And it's like Dominic went back to town. He took a bunch of 5-gallon deals, and he's filling it all up with gas. Wait. We're using his toys and he's going to get more gas so people continue to play with the toys. They give to charity. They're always optimistic. They're just these people that will give you the shirt off their back. When Bill got done telling me that story, Dominic, I said, Rick. And he goes, why? And I said, well, his father owned a plumbing company. He's worked for him, since he was in diapers. And his dad got sick and he took over the business. Rick's the guy you just explained. And he goes, okay, now listen, I'm going to call Rick for you. And this is what I'm going to say. If you're okay. Hey, Rick, this is Bill. I know you don't know me, but I'm sitting here with your friend, Robert. When I gave him a bunch of things that I was looking for in an individual, the first name that came up was you, Rick. Based off his recommendation, I'd like to share with you what we're doing because I know for a fact you know people we could help. He says, if that's all I said to Rick, would you give me his number? And I said, yeah. And he said, give me the number. I watched him pick up the phone, Dominic. He calls my cousin, Rick. And when he called him, all I heard him say was, okay. He goes, you got a pen and paper? He gave Rick the address, and Rick's on his way down. On a scale of 1 to 10, where is my head? I'm like, I'm done financially. So Rick comes down, watches the presentation on VHS tape, and Bill asked him, would you like most? He said, the money.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I'm always looking for a way to do more. And he says, what package you want to start at? And back in those days, the come in as a direct distributor was $5,265 with tax and freight. He says, I'm coming in as a direct. He goes, great, fill out this application, this order form. Now, here's the difference that my mentors did to me. He goes, Robert, can I see you in the other room? And I said, yeah. He says, Rick's filling out that application. At the bottom, it's going to ask who his sponsor is. You're not in the system. Mm-hmm. And I went, he goes, do you want me to sign him under me? And I go, no, he's my person. And he goes, well, you need $35 for the application fee and the distributor kit. And I went, hang on, Dominic, I went out to Rick.
You asked him for $35?
Yeah.
Yep.
Rick goes, no problem. Opens up his billfold, handed me $40. I went back to Bill, and he goes, great. He says, we have another problem. I'm going, are you kidding me? He says, well, there's a rebate back when he does that order. There's a rebate back that comes at 44%. So that's going to come to me because you're not a direct.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, I can't believe, not knowing this industry at all, never heard of network marketing, never heard of Amway, never heard of any of this stuff. And I looked at him and I said, is it possible that you could hold that order? And I went and I pawned my Snap-on Toolbot.
Blows me away when people, it's the vision, like you had said in the beginning, right? Yeah. When you see it, how many times you like, it used to be a hard close where people would say, you don't have the money. And I would tell people all the time, hey, listen, if I told you I make $25,000 a week and I'm going to quit the company and I'm going to sell you my spot, you'll make indefinitely 25 grand a week for the next 50 years if you want, but I'm going to sell it to you for $5,000. Could you come up with that money? Oh yeah, easily. I would go ask and borrow.
Great.
Yeah, it blows me away.
Great line, Dominic.
Blows me away.
That was masterful.
They don't understand the vision, but it's amazing. Listen, Rick, that's what I'm thinking about now. Robert,
did you say I was rich?
Yeah, that too. Well, you're very wealthy in knowledge. The energy is a balance, and one of the why I love people like you is that's not my forte. I'm not somebody who does the positive and the sunshine and the rainbows. I'm very much in the listen. Let's talk about cold calling. Let's talk about objection handling, sales skills. So I do these podcasts for my sake because it revitalizes. Listening to you revitalizes that, man, I could do both. I don't have to be a hard-nosed, hard ass on this. I have to find the incorporating of both sides of this. And again, like I said, it goes off to the bullshit meter. I don't smell anything coming off of you that's, oh yeah, I've heard this shit before, blah, blah. It is so awesome seeing somebody 30 years plus, 8-figure earner who's still doing the business and not the whole, I'm going to teach now and do that. Oh, this is great. How can they get involved with you? How can they work with you? How can they follow you and just watch and sit on the sidelines for a while? How can they?
Yeah, the best thing for them to do is I'll give them a copy of my best-selling book, How Is That Working? They just have to go to roberthollis.com/free. And if you don't even want to do that, then just go to my YouTube channel. It's Robert Hollis on YouTube. I just went over 2,000 videos, got a little over 1 million views. I just love serving people. All this stuff, all my stuff is free. It's totally free. And it's also, a lot of it is generic, really, really generic. And I always tell people all the time, it's, here's something, Dominic, that I think that, you and I continue to serve the world and help each other, is 95% of the people that will watch this, 95% of them are not sales types.
Mm-hmm.
So that means, and I mean non-sales types, this is how I figure them out. Hey, do you know of anyone that owes you money and you don't even have the stones to ask for it back? That's a non-sales type.
Mm-hmm.
But if you let them know that you're in their back pocket and all they got to do is send out messages to send people gifts, they get a response. As soon as they get a response and that person starts asking questions, just say, hey, is it okay if I put you in a group chat with Robert Hollis, the guy that was on the video? And people are going, are you freaking kidding me? You don't know him. Yeah, I'll reach out to him right now. And when I get in there and I say, hey, listen, I'm here to help you answer any questions and show you how to do this. I don't care what company you're with. It's like you said, there's two groups of leaders out there. There's the documented people. And I don't know if you knew this, Dominic, but you ever heard the phrase documentation beats conversation?
No.
My mentors had it. I own the patent to it. Documentation beats conversation. So I'm really controversial in the network marketing world because the very first video that I have people share is me logging in to my Connecticut credit union bank account. And people go, you're not allowed to show income.
Yeah.
No, you're not allowed to tell people that if they do nothing, they can make that income.
Correct. Correct. I want to point out a number. People, this is work. And it's connecting with people. 67 you have made 67 people $1 million plus, which has contributed to your. So out of the 30,000, 67 is a small number, but you have to think about that. Your net worth is 8 figures, and I need people to understand this. If you keep helping people to change their lives, and you help 2 people reach $1 million. I would like to think that that's going to be a nice little chunk of change coming into your household every month. So I don't get if somebody makes an extra $1,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $10,000 a year. How is this business a fucking scam? I will never understand that. I'll never understand it.
Yeah, it isn't. It's people, again, focusing on the negative. If they focus on it's like, well, how many people in the United States are in poverty? I don't want to be there.
Right. And you have an opportunity and an answer that does.
Yeah. How many people want a job working 40 hours, a week and work 40 years and then retire on 40% of your pay? I'm going to opt out of that too, Dominic.
Robert Hollis, roberthollis.com. I cannot thank you enough for your time. This was fantastic. Guys, I hope you enjoy this series. We're going to have Mr. Hollis back on. This is going to be very exciting. The Bull of MLM, Network Marketing Warfare. We are going to change this industry with men like this leading the way. Robert, thank you for your time. See you guys in the next episode.
God bless you.